to my I Love Learning podcast today. I'm Dr. Gina Anderson, and I am the host of this show. And I am super, super, super excited today because you get to meet James Zeigler. He is an executive coach, an author, a speaker, a USAV veteran. And I really wanted him to join us today and join me today, really, to speak and connect with all of you, because that's what we need. We need connection, we need love, and we definitely need it going into this long weekend. So let me bring James onto the stage. James, thank you for joining us today. Why don't you introduce yourself and tell everybody what you're passionate about?
Absolutely. Gina, I just want to thank you for the bracelet, because it's what I'm passionate about. And it says, remember that no one deserves to be bullied, and not even yourself. Don't bully yourself. And that's what I'm passionate about, is just, there's a world that is out there right now that is a tough place to be sometimes. And mental health comes to mind as one of the main topics for veterans that we were talking about earlier. I spent a number of years as a CEO and a senior executive service member of the United States Veterans Administration, and as a CEO of a VA hospital.
Wow. Thank you so much for that, because I know, going out and talking to many, people in our industry, that male mental health isn't talked about a lot. And just because, you have to seem strong and you have to seem you have it together. And, and the thing is, it's like, we all have hurdles in our life. So can you share maybe a time in your life when you maybe had a hurdle and you used your mind of a champion that I know you have to help overcome like some of these hurdles?
I was thinking about this for quite a bit, and the one that comes to mind is probably the most recent one, and it was a toxic work environment that challenged my inner bully, gave him a lot of gasoline to light a fire and tell me a lot of things that weren't true about me, yet I listened and believed that. And so I walked out of a C-suite. Now, the other thing that's really interesting here is that, I was in the Air Force and I was an enlisted guy, and, you just do your job. And then I wind up being a general officer, from an enlisted guy to a general officer. And there came a point where I realized that there's so much pressure right now. There's so much negativity, that I decided the best thing for my organization, veterans, and myself, my family, was to give it all up. That was a really tough time. And after that, planning on retiring without planning on retiring, right? 8 months of behavioral health through the VA that really took care of me. A couple of moments where I wanted to take my life, family issues, just things that just piled up. And it seems like in our world today, there are a lot of things that tend to pile up. Like you said, going into this weekend, like a really busy weekend, a busy weekend can be a pile up pretty quick. Not just traffic. It could just be a pile up of different things that are in our emotions and our mindset, not being a champion mindset like you were talking about. So that's what happened to me, and I count it as the best decision I've ever made in my life, because I had my priorities really kind of messed up. I was, wearing what a friend of ours, Tara, likes to call the golden handcuffs. And I was wearing those golden handcuffs proudly at the top of an organization and trying to make a difference. And realizing that, I'm not the guy for the job. I'm not the guy for the job. And this job hasn't been filled in 2 years that I locked out of. That says an awful lot that, we just haven't been able to make this better. And so, yeah, that's really the moment that I recall where there was a hurdle. And sometimes the hurdle isn't, being the healer. Sometimes the hurdle is being healed.
Oh, it's beautiful. I'm so proud of you. I hope you tell yourself that you're proud of yourself, because that
Yeah.
is a big deal. It's a big deal, and it's like to wake up and be able to tell yourself that I am proud of myself, and really believing that. What do you think continues to make you want to inspire and move towards your passion? Like, what is it that, keeps you inspired?
I learned some things just prior to walking out of that job, a year, in fact, beforehand. I had an episode where I had a double pulmonary embolism that just about took my life. And I'm a Christian guy, so I believe in a lot of different things that happened during that time frame. But just to get to the facts of it, my life was spared, and I shouldn't have really taken a big job. I should have said, "Okay, I thank you. Now what's next?" And so I didn't. So for that year, it was really something else. But what I learned was from the doctor, and I think this is something that we all really need to pay close attention to. There's a chemical in our body. There's a couple chemicals in our body, but one of them is called cortisol. And that's cortisol, just in case you didn't quite catch it, because you need to do some research on it. If you're stressed out, if you're afraid of something coming at you, say it's a Loch Ness monster or somebody,
No.
Right? That would not be good, right? And your cortisol level goes up in your body if you are that type of person that fear and thrill seeking is not your gig. Now, if thrill seeking is your gig, that's a whole different story. And if substance abuse is your gig, that's a whole different story. It actually works the opposite for those two. But for those of us that are a little bit fearful, a little bit tentative in life, when things happen that are unexpected and stressful, our cortisol goes up to help us deal with the fight, the flight, the fleeing and freezing. My issue was freezing. I always thought that if I froze, that everybody else froze too. Well, they didn't. The world kept going. And my freezing was holding me back and holding others back, waiting for me to unfreeze. So this cortisol thing is what the doctor told me when I was in the ICU. He said, your cortisol levels are off the charts. There's so much pressure on the right side of your heart. That's why you can't breathe. And oh, by the way, you have hundreds of clots in your leg, your lungs, very near your heart, and you got minutes to live. So out of all of that, I get out of the hospital. They do this miraculous procedure. Everything's great. And I start thinking about it. I'm like, what in the heck is cortisol? I thought it was lotion,
Wow. Yeah.
I started to do some real deep research. And I found some things that are super important to us in our work and in our life. The fear that comes upon you when, I know you are in transportation and education and safety. The fear that comes upon you when you see that car crossing that country road on the 4-lane freeway and shouldn't be there. That fear in your knees is cortisol that is telling you there's a car in the middle of the road, you need to do some things, you need to brake, right? That's good cortisol. Bad cortisol is that same car shows up 20 times on the same road. And it becomes chronic. That's what happens in our life and at work. You keep going up against the same people at work that are still resistant to whatever change or whatever's true, honest, lovely, pure, all of those things. And integrity really helps raise that cortisol level. Because if you have a certain degree of values and beliefs and they collide with the people that you're interacting with, and it keeps happening. If it's in a relationship, if you're in a codependent relationship, a lot of veterans, when we get out of the service, have seen things, experienced things, and you're right, Gina, they don't like talking about it,
Right.
I mean, I'll tell you that when I was in the military, I had a supervisor, he's a civilian supervisor, who decided it was okay to rub himself on my back every Friday while I typed a message for a year. I got promoted out of that. And to the veterans out there that have gone through claims and things like that, got denied that it even happened. And this was at the same time that Matt, what was his name? The news guy. And there was all this hashtag Me Too stuff. And so I found myself part of that community, another barrier kind of a thing. And then it being denied, not being able to get validated that something happened. All of that stuff kind of builds up over a chronic period of time for us in our lives. And it's the old camel and the straw. Finally, there's one straw that just...
It's powerful. It's like letting people know they're not alone, right? I mean, they're not alone. I mean, many people suffer in silence, never tell anyone like what they've been through, the darkness that they faced alone, and it just eats at you. It creates that cortisol. So, one of the reasons I started my podcast is because so many people were reaching out to me saying they were depressed. They didn't have anyone to turn to. And so I wanted to bring people on that would be, motivational for people to connect and create real authentic connections. Because for me, like this season's all about winning. I think about like winning is such like a metaphorical idea of like what that means for everybody. And so what do you think, James, winning means to you specifically in the context that we're talking about?
Winning is daily. Living is daily. This day I've got my daily bread, and that's what I've got. And I get to celebrate that all day long with people that are around me. Winning is no longer getting the golden handcuffs. It just isn't. And I don't know if that's because I'm older and I'm retired. And, I'm that old crotchety guy now that, is having coffee with the boys at the cafe. I don't know if that's what it is. But I do know that there's a degree of peace in just isolating things down to today. That's
Such
winning.
peace.
You win the day, this day.
Being present. We're losing ourselves. Being present is so important, in that moment, because we'll never get that moment back. And, we don't know how many more moments we're going to have. And I think that's so powerful. So thank you so much for sharing that. Oh my goodness. You're such goodness, James. You're such goodness. I love it. So last week, Stephanie Boetti joined me. She's a professional truck driver. And she wanted me to ask you this. She wanted to know what moment in your professional life makes you most proud.
That'd be that day that I walked out.
I love that.
It would seem like failure. It would seem like cowardice, but it was as courageous as anything I'd ever done in my life. And I did it for my family, and for myself and for my beliefs and my values and my integrity. And I actually said, this is really what's important to me. And I cannot continue to do this in this place and at this time against the odds that are insurmountable. And to remove yourself from a situation where you're not the best for the job.
Right.
Even if you are the best for the job.
Right. I love that. You know what? I'm going to do something I haven't done yet this season because you were so special. I have my little sunshine jar here. Let's open a message together today and let's spread some sunshine. Let's see what it says. Okay. Let's read it for everyone on this long weekend. Like you said, let's see. I don't know. We'll see what it says. Let's see what it says. All right. Let's open it. What does it say? Oh, look, it says, I believe in the good things coming. I love it. Look at that. It's so perfect for us today. Oh my goodness.
So perfect.
It's so perfect. Oh my gosh. Okay, let me ask you. Somebody is listening today and they are thinking they've lost their passion and they don't know where to turn and they don't think that learning can ignite their way forward and they don't believe that there's good things coming, James. They don't believe it. What would you say to that person listening today?
I saw a good friend of mine now who's an NFL player, Marcus Ogden. He did this at a keynote speech once. And I asked him, I said, would you mind if I did the same thing? And he said, it's not like I don't have a license on it or anything. I said, well, his claim to fame is be authentic. And he's the most authentic individual I think I've ever met because he did this, and I'm going to do the same thing. If you are struggling, if you're a veteran, especially, if not, it's okay too. Write this down: 906-869-1480. And the other number you want to write down is 988. But you can call me. And if you are in that position where, Gina, every single time I see the name of your podcast, I think to myself, because, I was an academic, I was an assistant professor, I'm a speech pathologist by background, cognition, attention, memory, concentration, all of that stuff. Language just absolutely fires me up.
I love it.
I love being a speech pathologist and taking care of patients. When I see the name of your podcast, I really think that it's such a cool twist that you have on this because it's really life.
Yeah.
Is there anything, ask yourself right now, if you're in that position where it's like, I don't think there's goodness coming tomorrow. Is there anything you can learn right now? Just one thing you can learn. What can you do at this very moment to learn something? It may be learn about your faith somehow. It may be learn about somebody. It may be look at a YouTube video and learn about how to make muffins. Whatever. But that's life. That's living in life and honoring it. And that darkness just can't sit around in that kind of a light because you're learning. And I really love the name of this podcast. I love learning because if you don't learn, you're not living. And when you stop learning, you get close to stop living.
Hey, James, that was my line in my TEDx talk. You just took it. It's so great.
I didn't even hear it yet.
Yes, it's going to be live. So I say without connection, because look, if you're sitting alone, you got to go out and connect with a stranger, go open a door for someone, go look in someone's eyes and say, you matter, because without connection, learning dies. And when learning dies, we truly stop living. And it's true. It's true. I've seen it. We've seen it with so many. Creativity is the seed of life. I'm a learning scientist. I study it. It's my passion. I love it. And I love so much that you are here with us today, because the life wouldn't be the same without you in it. And I'm surely all the people's lives who you touch every day, you make a difference. And I love that so much. And I'm so glad that I met you, because you just fire up love and goodness. And I love that. So thank you for coming on. We do have one question we got to ask next week. So Jill Kirsch is coming on my podcast. She's a color expert. She actually helped me pick my colors for my TEDx, although she doesn't know this. I left all my dresses at home. So she really, all her help got left in my closet. It was so true. So thank you, Jill, for helping me, but I didn't get to use it for my TEDx. But what should we ask her? She's a color expert. What should we ask her about learning? What do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking about this. I think it's a simple question, but I think it's going to get a pretty deep answer.
Okay, let's do it.
So just challenge her, this is a simple question, but give us a deep answer.
Okay.
What color inspires you the most and why?
I love that. Do you have an answer for that? That's a good question.
Do I have one?
Yeah, what do you think?
I'm
What's
not
your
a color expert.
No, I know, but you know what? I did an article for Ink on color. It matters. It matters what you show up in. Colors elicit emotional resonance that will last forever. I study color in terms of learning science, not from like a fashion standpoint, but it matters. It matters, and I think that it's important. I can't wait to see what Jill says. So we'll see. So leave us today, James, with some goodness, some lasting words of advice, and tell everyone where they can find you.
I can do that. What matters most in life is, and along the road of life, is as you're riding along, how good of a passenger you are and who's driving. And you can reach me at my website, www.behold1.com, behold1.com.
All right, James.
You have my phone number, so.
Yes, I have it too now. It's so great having you today. Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. All right, everyone. That was our I Love Learning podcast. Be sure, if you want to apply, let me know. I'd love to hear from you. Until next week, be kind, be safe, and keep learning.